Everybody, let's please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call today's meeting to order. First order of business would be the approval of minutes, November 30th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second, is there a second?
Second.
First and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next would be Commissioner comments. Vice President Baker, would you begin?
Yeah, just like to say good morning to everyone and welcome to our commissioners meeting. And other than that, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kiefer, please.
Yes, two quick things. I noticed on my way down from Hancock on Interstate 70, it looked like the state road crew was starting to lay the layer of liquid salt. So I'm assuming we're getting snow tonight. I don't want to start any rumors, but just a thank you in advance to our county highway department, who I'm sure they'll have to tackle that in the middle of the night, early in the morning, whenever that comes. So thanks for getting us ready for our potentially first snow of the season. And my wife and I had a chance to visit Leitersburg Cinema after they reopened. They were down, closed during COVID. And so great for our Washington County community to see the Leitersburg Cinema reopen. I think maybe they're using a new name, Warehouse Cinema, part of the new chain that they've started. But just a thank you to Rich Daughtridge and everyone that was involved in getting that up and running. That's an important part of the Leitersburg community, the Washington County community. Even growing up in Hancock, we would visit Leitersburg Cinema many times, so I'm glad to see that open. And if you go to see a movie, we want to see James Bond, the new James Bond movie, for the second time, because we weren't quite sure how it ended. But at the beginning, in the previews, Leitersburg Cinema has a nice, I don't know if you call it a preview, but just a little bit of the story of how it closed and how it reopened, and members of the community coming out and speaking about how important it was. And that was good. That was touching to see that. So would encourage everyone to maybe see if there's a movie over the holidays you could go see at Leitersburg Cinema and show them some support.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burkett?
I don't have much today. Just after the meeting today, be headed down to Cambridge to participate in the Winter Mako Conference. And so I'll report on that when we get back together.
Talk I-81. Talk I-81. Thank you. Commissioner Wagner?
Just to piggyback on Commissioner Kiefer, last movie I saw was Pirates of the Caribbean, so, you know, that's been a while. That was in Nags Head, North Carolina, so I got to take you up on that because I've heard good things about it, and so I need to go to the Warehouse Cinemas. Got to attend Feast and Frolic for the University of Maryland, Hagerstown. It was a nice event. What they do is a fundraiser for scholarships for the students. They do a nice job. I think they raised $65,000 or something. But they have a wonderful physician's assistant program here that it's sort of a shame because they can take 25 people, and I think they have a waiting list of over 400. So you got to be at the top level to get into that school. But they're really helping the students. They had a lot of students there that receive some scholarships, and they do a good job of that. Last night I got to go out to Maryland AFL-CIO for Toys for Tots. So that was a nice little event. I didn't stay long, but we took some toys, compliments of Jeff. He picked the toys up, and then some donations to Toys for Tots. But that was a nice thing out at Antietam Brewery. It didn't last long, but, you know, there was a lot of people showing up with toys for Tots. That's all I have.
Thank you. I do want to bring up that we do have Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve coming up, and just want to make sure we have a policy on what we're going to do, if any early release, that we're all in consensus or aware of how we're going to do that. I think you're probably going to address that.
Yeah, I mean, we can address it
now. Doesn't have to be today, but
we can, you know, we need to discuss that either today
it
or
falls
next
on a
week.
Friday.
Yeah, both of those. So You know, we did, right before Thanksgiving, this board had granted the employees, we actually closed, or we didn't close, but we allowed everybody to leave 2 hours early on that day.
I
So if you
just
want to,
think
if you
more
want to.
notice gives it an opportunity to use their personal leave or whatever.
Yeah, because we'll be faced with the
So
same situation for Christmas
yeah.
and New Year's, so.
And that's just a polite
you wanna-
reminder.
We can
Um,
discuss
Last
that
night,
next
I
week.
attended the Interfaith Coalition Christmas party, 2 other commissioners there. One had a beautiful little, cute little baby. Yeah, it was nice to see you out with your family, and didn't get much chance to talk to you, but thank you for supporting Interfaith Coalition. They do wonders for, I would say, people with lesser means up in the Hancock area, and they had a Volunteer of the Year award, and I forget her name now, but they do an excellent job for that end of the county, helping people who are less of means. Thank you. Well, congratulations to Ruth for doing that. And the other big issue of the day, and I think Jill's going to have a staff report, it's been, I guess, politely named the Williamsport hum. There's been a loud noise generating from the Governor's Lane Boulevard, and you'll see from Jill's presentation, we've been working on it from early November. I counted my emails today, and I have over 40 emails out to citizens, staff, and all others about it. So we have been diligently working on it, just maybe not at a pace fast enough to solve it, because I can hear it 2 miles away from my house. So I hope Jill gives us an update how we're going to bring that to resolution, because it is a big concern for the Van Leer, Cloverton, and Tammany community. So with that being said, I concludes my report.
And I'll just say, and Jill is going to present a report and give a summary of what we've been looking at so far. You're right. You're 2 miles in one direction, you can hear it. If you go 2 miles in another direction, you can't hear it. And if you're out there in a particular spot, sometimes everything goes off, and they've been trying to figure it out. So she'll have a report on that.
I've been
staff
riding
comments.
the neighborhoods since my eye has been recovered from surgery, coming in from Governor Lappin's Road with Certainty on the right, you can't hear it. You go past Certainty and pull in the parking lot there at the former Cushwell Brewery, and you can hear it. My brother lives out on Kendall Road. I called him and said, "Do you hear that noise?" He went out and held the phone in the air. He said he couldn't hear nothing. So we're working on it, and I'll leave it up to Jill to give more complete summary of that as we continue. So with that being said, I want to go on with staff comments. I think Rich Eichenberger, would you like to come first?
Morning, Commissioners. Rich Eichelberger with Permits and Inspection. I have Frank Quillen with me, who is our Chief Plans Examiner, is also the Deputy Code Official. Just wanted to bring to your attention that staff does belong to the Maryland Building Officials Association, affectionately known as MBOA, and they have recently went back to resume their in-person meetings, of course, with COVID restrictions. And every year in December, their meeting is the annual business meeting. As part of the annual business meeting, every other year is the election of officers. And this year was the cycle for the election of officers. Again, with Frank Quillen with me, Frank has served on the MBOA board for many years, started out as a director and has basically filled every position within MBOA. The last 2-year term, Frank was the first vice president, and at the meeting on Thursday, Frank was elected as the new president for MBOA, which is a statewide organization. So I wanted to bring Frank here, introduce him as the new MBOA president for the term of the next 2 years. And this is a pretty distinguished honor. And as far as we know, Frank is only the second president of MBOA from Washington County. And this organization has been around since 1971. So again, I think that's a pretty prestigious honor, and I wanted to recognize that. And I know Frank has a few comments that he wanted to make as well.
Thank you, Rich. Established in 1971, the Maryland Building Officials Association is a professional organization comprised of over 300 county and municipal code enforcement officials from across the state of Maryland. Our mission is to promote professionalism and consistency in the application and enforcement of building codes throughout the state. To accomplish our mission, we sponsor statewide education programs, disseminate code-related information, and review and comment on legislation. If you have any particular, if you have any legislation that you're interested in, please get some word to Rich. We'll look at it. We'll get the bills for you. We'll tell you when they're coming up for vote. We'd like to make this work for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Continuing with staff comments, Dave Hayes, you prepared? Please come forward, introduce yourself in the matter.
Good afternoon. I'm going to ask President Fishak from the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association to join me, if that's okay.
Thank you.
So I apologize, we couldn't get this on as an agenda item. It relates back to an earlier motion that the commissioners had approved relative to the volunteer responders premium pay of $500 per volunteer. And as the commissioners moved through processes and we actually had granted or grandfathered the 50 LoSAP points because of some of the loss of opportunities for volunteers to participate either in membership meetings, fundraising, all of those things, they were grandfathered through using previous year's points. When that occurred, the original number that you were presented with, which was 485 volunteers that would get $500 per volunteer, brought a total funding requirement of $242,500. Since then, and through a further review, the association has identified that in actuality, when you include those people that receive the grandfather and the 50 points, there would be 759 volunteers in total, which would require an additional $137,000 to complete the full 500 payment to all 759 volunteers. So we're here today to ask the commissioners to consider allocating an additional $137,000 to the existing $242,500, and that would bring, I believe, a total investment of $379,000, which would allow full payment.
You need a consensus for that, or just
Yes.
a vote? Or is that just a consensus? Is a vote necessary?
I think
Or
you go ahead and do it. I think you go ahead and do a motion.
somebody just go ahead and,
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
first and second, any further discussion?
That'll come out of the ARPA funds, just like.
Correct.
Okay, you're right. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
go to Jill Baker next. Krista, I'll have you.
Thank the volunteers.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second. I'll be out of your way. Got us. We're good.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. Except for I just dropped half of what I need.
All right, Jill, please introduce your folks, introduce yourselves and your topic.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jill Baker, Director of the Department of Planning and Zoning. With me today, I have Heather Wimberly, who is our zoning inspector in the department, and has worked with us regarding this Williamsport home. Before I get into that, if I could just do a personal note. Shame on me, the first time in my life living here, I actually attended the Antietam Battlefield Luminaries this weekend. And what a fantastic event that was. Very powerful, very moving. So I thought I'd start out with a positive note of one of the very nice things that we have here. So
Was
kudos.
it a noisy event?
No, but it was extremely powerful. I will tell you that. So kudos to the National Park Service for their efforts in making that happen. I did wait 2 hours to get into it. Well worth it. So getting to the point at hand, I've been asked to give an update regarding a noise complaint in the Williamsport area. that we've referred to as the Williamsport hum. It is a deep humming noise that you hear. We have received complaints from various different areas, including subdivisions of Cloverton, Van Leer, I think Tammany, a few in Elmwood. There's some other places along the way there. So we were first notified of the complaint on November 10th of this year. We had received a forward of a noise complaint from one of our commissioners, and so on November 12th, because we were closed on the 11th, that was Veterans Day. On the 12th, Heather went out and drove around the area. There was no, at that time when she drove around, there was no evident noise at the time. We couldn't quite pinpoint it. We did make contact with one business out there that one of the complainants thought it was. We talked to that plant and discovered that that was not a likely source of the noise. We also then received some more complaints basically telling us it was happening more toward the evening hours. So in response to that, both Heather and I spent several evenings driving around the neighborhoods, driving around Governor Lane Boulevard, Industrial Lane, Grumbacher Lane, and that general vicinity, trying to, first of all, hear the noise, second of all, pinpoint that noise. So I would say that I think it was around November 16th, between Heather and I driving around in the areas, we were able to discern the noise and tried to figure out where it was coming from. As Randy pointed out earlier, it's a little bit difficult because there are several metal buildings, shell buildings out there, and just depending on where you stand, that noise is bouncing off of those buildings. It was very hard for us to try to pinpoint it. So we thought at the very beginning that, based upon what we found, we thought it was the Rust-Oleum plant that was generating the noise. So we had some back and forth conversations with them. We were able to meet with the Rust-Oleum people on December 3rd. That was this past Friday. We toured the facility. I would like to thank the plant manager, the environmental manager, and the production manager for joining us, taking time out of their day to join us. We walked around the facility. There was no noise evident within the facility. We walked around the outside of the facility. We did start to hear the noise. We followed the noise and we tracked it to another facility a little bit south of the property. So we believe we have actually finally pinpointed the actual business that is producing the noise. We have made contact, but we haven't been able to actually speak with a member of that business just yet. But we are working on that right now. We are going to try and work with these people to try to fix the problem. Just to be very clear about it, the problem is that Washington County does not have an adopted noise ordinance. So it's very difficult for us to enforce certain requirements upon these businesses when we don't have an actual regulation stating what those criteria are and what they're breaking. However, you know, I'll be honest with you, these businesses have been very open with us. They are very good neighbors, and I don't think anybody's out there to, you know, cause problems or anything like that. So, you know, Heather can attest to, you know, she's been out there talking to these businesses. They've been very open with us, very, very cordial, and trying to help us fix the issue. Yes, it's taking a lot longer than we would probably like, but we are working on it and trying to get that resolved. I will say the other problem we're having with this noise is that it's not necessarily the intensity or the level of the sound. Heather and I both downloaded decibel meters to our phone, which are fairly accurate. They're not 100% calibrated or whatever, but they're fairly accurate to what's actually happening out there. And between the two of us, we couldn't find anything within the neighborhoods or the actual vicinity of Governor Lane or anything that went above 60 decibels outside of truck traffic and things like that. 70 decibels is considered, and anything under 70 decibels is considered safe. 70 decibels is where you may start to have problems with.
What would be the reading or requirement for an industrial park for
So,
a decibel level?
in my research of different noise ordinances across the country, most industrial parks, they allow anywhere between a maximum of 64 and 68 decibels. Typically, you will not get above 70, because again, 70 is where you're starting to get into that range of long-term exposure could affect hearing. Research shows that. So that's kind of where we stand with it. But like I said, it's not necessarily how loud the tone is. I think it is the actual tone or the frequency of the noise. I equate it to, if you have like an empty Coke bottle and you blow across the top of that bottle, that sort of reverberation you get, that's sort of what it's like. Full disclosure, I do live in the Williamsport area. I have heard the noise. It is in my home as well. So I do know it exists, and I do understand the inconvenience and annoyance of it. So we are working very hard and diligently to try to bring this to conclusion. And we've been keeping the county administrator up to date on all of this as we go along. So again, hopefully we'll be able to bring this to resolution sooner rather than later.
Okay. Any questions for Jill? Thank you very much. Keep us updated.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean,
Thank you,
I appreciate
Joe.
staff, as she mentioned, they've been spending a lot of time doing that, including evenings and some other times looking at it. So right now, you know, we've reached out to make contact with that business, and as soon as we do that, and I agree, all the businesses have been very cooperative, so I assume this business will be as well, and we'll make every effort to get this resolved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, thank you. Continuing with staff comments, Krista? Oh, Brian, oh, you're here. Okay, Brian, I didn't see your name. Please come forward.
Brian Albert, the Assistant Director of Division of Emergency Services, 911 Center, and I'm here to ask permission to apply for 2 grants through the Maryland 911 Board. One is for, and the reason I came in staff comments is because there's a deadline of this week to apply through the grants through the state, and I have to get on their agenda. So the first one's for $205,874.64, and that's for Mission Critical Partners to manage our EZNet installation. It's something that the state has required, well, they've just approved to start paying for this. So what that would do is, after we get the EZNet installed at the 911 center, they would manage the project, and they would totally check connectivity between all the counties and jurisdictions that we touch, which is 7 counties currently. So that's for $205,874.64. Do you want to do them both at one time? So the second one is for battery replacements for our UPSs in the backup center here at the 911 Center at 128 and Elliott Parkway. And this is an emergency purchase for $25,776.20. And both would be covered full funding from the Maryland 911 Board.
Is this to apply and to accept?
Yes.
If awarded? Is
Yes.
there a motion to do both?
Motion to do both.
Have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Krista, if I see any other names, I think I have yours. And then I'll go to John and Kirk.
The Washington County Community Organization Funding Committee requesting to accept the recommendation to appoint Sean Martin to serve a first term as Commissioner Burkett's representative from October 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, thank you very much.
The Washington County Plumbing and Mechanical Board requesting to accept the recommendation to reappoint Gary Price to serve as the member representing the master HVAC contractor. He would be serving a fourth three-year term from November 1 through October 31st, 2024. And with the acceptance of that recommendation, they are requesting a consensus for an exception to the two-term limit as outlined in the bylaws and county policy. This is a paid board.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
I also have the Washington County Electrical Board of Examiners and Supervisors requesting to accept the recommendation to reappoint Daniel Sterling to serve a third two-year term as a member at large from November 1st, 2021 through October 31st, 2023. And with that acceptance of the recommendation, they're also requesting consensus for an exception to the two-term limit as outlined in the bylaws and County Policy PR 22. This is a paid board as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Chris,
all I
is that
have.
it?
Yep.
Mr. Downey, anything
Thank
from legal?
No, she's smart.
Mr. Montrano, Administrator, sir?
Thank you, President Klein. Good morning, Commissioner. Just a few things. You did mention the weather. I know Andrew looked up when you said that. Obviously, we're expecting a little bit of weather tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be too much, but our highway department is ready to move forward with this and into the winter. So as we'll thank them, but I'll thank them ahead of time for getting ready because it is December and we will be getting those storms heading our way. So hopefully tomorrow won't be too much, but I know they're ready and they're ready for the winter. Just did want to mention, forgot to mention this last week, Scott Hobbs and I had an opportunity to travel down to MDOT last Monday and got a chance to meet with Secretary Slater to talk about I-81. So we are continuing to discuss with state representatives any avenues that we can address to impress upon them the importance of I-81 for our county. So I appreciate Secretary Slater taking half hour, 45 minutes out of his day to meet with Scott and I to talk about, and Mark Whitmire from the governor's office was there as well to talk about I-81. So I think that was a worthwhile trip for Scott and I to make. And the final thing I had, just wanted to thank Judge Mark Boyer, who dropped off, I think some of you probably saw these on your desk, these commemorative tokens commemorating the fire that destroyed the county's second courthouse back in 1871. So it's the 150th anniversary of that. So they have these tokens. So thank Judge Boyer for dropping those off. I think some of them are on your desk. We have more. If anybody's interested in one of these, we can provide that to them. So thank you again. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Any other staff that I missed for any reports? Seeing none. Next, we'll go to citizens' participation. We'll begin with the front row. Anybody would like to come participate? Mr. Woods, please come forward. Introduce yourself, address, and the matter. Typically try to keep people close to 3 minutes, but I'm not going to cut you off. You make sure you get your point across, sir. Thank you.
I think the rules say 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to try very hard.
Thank you, Chip.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Chip Wood. I'm a retired engineer, and I'm an activist and been pestering the commissioners for a number of years about a project known as the Civil War Rail Trail, which is a 24-mile trail from City Park down to the Potomac River. And doing this research, I came up with some old stuff. I know it's very important, and I don't want to tie your time up on this old stuff, but I gave you two printouts. One is for the Great Allegheny Passage, which is a rail trail which has been very successful in generating jobs and revenue. It has transformed the region in Pennsylvania and Maryland from Cumberland up to Pittsburgh. So suggest you look at that 3 pages there on the success of the Great Allegheny Passage Trail. Second is this report I did with examining, and this is where we get into old stuff. I'm looking at the meeting of the commissioners back in July of 2012. In June of 2012, there was a public meeting in Boonesboro about the Civil War Rail Trail. I attended that meeting, and at that meeting, the county said that to submit comments by July 2. And by July 2, there was many letters of support in the county files. People went and collected petitions. There were 600 petition signatures signed, and they were submitted by July 2. And then on July 10, the commissioners held a meeting, and in discussing, they discussed terminating the study, and they did not acknowledge any of the numbers. There was 800 people, citizens that I say that supported the trail. There was 19 organizations that supported the trail, and they're listed in this paper here. And there was only about 80 people, residents, that didn't support the trail. And so these statistics were never discussed, and yet the commissioners went ahead and voted to terminate the trail study. And so I think they were remiss, because those citizens did a lot of work in gathering those petitions and getting them in by July 2nd, and then when the commissioners hold a meeting, it's all trashed, not even brought up as a consideration in their voting. So, brief, I say that the commissioners owe an apology to these people, and they need to restart the study that was unjustly terminated, and take a second look at this in light. There's new developments in the last 9 years that show these trails are a great success, and so I say that the commissioners owe the citizens and majority of people cited in this report a restart of the study that they had going back in 2012. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Appreciate it. Just one point of facts there. The county commissioners have supported the Washington County Lobbying Coalition and support their legislation request for funding to review those leases and to renew that study. So we have taken some action, but thank you for your advocacy. Next, citizens participation, front row. Marty, anybody on the front row? Anybody in the second row? Third row, fourth row? Anybody else for citizens participation? Seeing none, we have a public hearing scheduled at 10:30. Could we skip out of order here and do the public hearing, then come back to the farm presentation? But Commissioners, you okay with that? That way we stay on time? I see 5 nods. Okay, next up will be the public hearing for acquisition. Excuse me, my eyes bother me. Would you please introduce the matter as I read this document first? Next on the agenda is the public hearing concerning the purchasing or acquisition of 747 Northern Avenue. The purpose of this hearing is to hear public testimony concerning the matter. The procedure is as follows. 1, we will first have staff introduce the matter, after which the hearing will be open for public comment and testimony. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to testify. After everyone who wishes to speak has done so, the hearing will close. The commissioners may then discuss the issue and take any action that they deem appropriate, including adoption or rejection of the proposal, or they may take the issue under advisement and deliberate at a later date. Mr. Moser, would you introduce yourself and the matter, please?
Good morning, Commissioners. Todd Moser, Real Property Administrator. As stated, this is a public hearing to hear testimony regarding the purchase of 747 Northern Avenue in Hagerstown, Maryland. The Maryland Stadium Authority has determined several properties in downtown Hagerstown must be acquired for the Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility. The county annex building is one of the properties required for the project, and the Stadium Authority has made an initial offer to purchase the property located at 80 West Baltimore Street. The property at 747 Northern Avenue will accommodate the relocation of the Departments of Permits, Inspections, Engineering, Planning, and Zoning. The county has entered into a purchase agreement for $1,150,000. The State Department of Assessments and Taxation has the building valued at $1,878,300. The notice of public hearing intent to acquire the property was duly advertised November 15th, 22nd, and 29th, and I would have a motion after the public hearing, I believe.
Okay, that concludes since we are the candidates, we can move forward we are now opening the hearing for public comment. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and give us your name and address and what you would like for us to know. Seeing no one come forward, do the commissioners have any questions?
No.
Okay, if not, the public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, comments, thoughts? Mr. Moser?
Todd, this is sooner than later type of, we generally wait a week. I don't know if that's up to everybody here, I guess, but you're on a very tight time schedule, aren't you?
That's correct. We are on a very tight time schedule regarding renovations, RFQs that have already been posted.
And why are we moving into this building again?
This is for the new multi-use stadium project.
We're exiting Baltimore Street to move here.
That's correct. We are required to exit 80 West Baltimore Street.
Okay.
And timeframes would be how long to purchase, relocate approximately?
Purchase will be prior to Christmas. We have worked out an agreement with hospice that they would vacate, I believe, the 16th of January. Renovations would start immediately, and we would be ready to move in at the end of April. We believe if everything
Do you have a
goes
cost
accordingly.
estimate for those renovations? Approximately.
Approximately $1 million.
Okay. Commissioners, any other comments or anything, or you want to take action today or wait? At your pleasure.
I would prefer to take action today if everybody's,
I already did.
Got a motion?
Already did.
yeah, I'd motion to
Close.
move forward with the purchase of 747 Northern Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
And now questions.
I do have a specific recommended motion to do with the transfer.
Oh, okay, you want to, all right, why don't we go with Todd, then we withdraw our motions and you make the recommended.
Move to approve the purchase of 747 Northern Avenue for the future administrative annex building and to approve an ordinance approving said purchase and to authorize the execution of necessary documentation to finalize the acquisition, and move to approve a budget adjustment for this project.
Gotcha. Commissioners, they're first for that motion, support his recommendation.
Motion to move forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
First and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for your hard work on this issue.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go back on the agenda for agriculture, faces of farming presentation. Staff, sorry to delay you there a little bit. Just wanted to keep on our time frame. Thank you. Susan, please introduce yourself in the matter.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am here to present to you our second group of Faces of Farming videos for agriculture. The Faces of Farming is an agricultural-focused video marketing campaign that will showcase 2 of our local Washington County farms every month for 1 year. The Faces of Farming marketing videos will be showcased on the county's website, as well as Facebook and other social media platforms. And they will target a new industry and highlight local farm reform that's specific to the agricultural industry in Washington County. As you know, Washington County's agricultural business represents the backbone of our county's landscape, with over 900 operating family farms and 153 $153,725,000 in market value of products sold. Agriculture happens to be our largest economic driver in Washington County. The Faces of Farming marketing campaign will aim to educate residents in Washington County, along with the surrounding states and counties, about the economic impact of the ag industry here. Additionally, these videos will be used for agricultural education to numerous streams around Washington County, such as our 4-H, FFA, or Future Farmers of America meetings, our Ag Expo and Fair, and they will also be available on our Ag app and our website. Today we'll be presenting two videos. One will be for Delightful Dairy of Williamsport and Ivy Hill in Smithsburg, which was also our Farm of the Year this year.
Very good.
Thank you. I think PR has the videos ready to roll. There we go.
We're 160 acres, seventh generation on this property, so we've been on this property since 1831. It's been a commercial dairy operation going back as long as commercial dairy really went. We milk around 60 cows. We're a rotational grazing operation. The cows are on grass from April to November, milking a double 4 herringbone milking parlor. Washington County is a really interesting area because we are so diverse. We've got mountains on both sides, and you've got the valley in the middle. A lot of the ground is slough rolling ground. Soil conditions vary throughout the county, and it's just a really unique place to live and farm. The current dairy economy is a tough place to make a go of it, especially at our size and scale. 60 cow operation is a very small scale operation to make a go of it. And that's pretty much why we got into processing our own products. That's just a way we try to diversify and make us more of a viable operation at the size and scale we're at. So whatever I have available for the co-op to pick up with the milk truck, they still are, and then we process what we need. And we really just work hand in hand that way. And when we started processing our own milk, I mean, we wanted people to recognize it. We wanted to have that logo affiliation. We just wanted people to know what they were getting. We want people to associate that logo with the quality of products that we're producing. The smaller direct marketing farms, so they don't do as large of an operation, but they focus on selling all their products. Well, I mean, obviously it's huge for us when you look back at, we're sitting at 190 years in the family right now, so it puts a lot of pressure on me. You know, nobody wants to be the last guy. But the land has been put into preservation, the ground has been preserved, the farm will continue to be a farm. Yeah, farming itself is just a tough industry to continue in. So to survive as long as we have, we're really proud of that.
Roughly about 120 acres, about 60 acres are in production of fruit, some crop ground, pasture ground, and woodlands. Our top producer is probably the apple crop, followed by peaches, and then we go into the greenhouse seasons early in the spring. Well, we're not close to the hustle bustle of the city, but yet we're not out in the realms that there isn't anybody come along. It's a wonderful place. You're right here with 7081 crossing. You know, I can't think of a better place in the world to be farming. My opinion of the future of farming in Washington County, we're going to have to become more consumer oriented to get people to the farm. Food to fork is really a popular thing that was brought up a couple years ago. I think that is where the farming community has to go to survive. I hope in the future that they recognize agriculture as a very important and vital part of Washington County. Hard work eventually pays off.
Thank you. And if you haven't had Delightful Dairy's milk, it is amazing, especially the cookies and cream. So-
And I think a few years ago, the commissioners did recognize the importance of agriculture because we designated an ag marketing specialist in your department to
Yep,
be
yep.
full-time.
It's
So
an amazing piece of Washington County's economic industry. So thank you very much.
thank you.
Just by the way, their drunken crab cheese is pretty good, too.
Cheeses are very good.
Very good, thank you. Next on the agenda, the property exchange with Washington County Public Schools. I believe we have Todd and Andrew coming. Please come forward, introduce yourself in the matter.
Todd Moser, Real Property Administrator.
Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works.
This is the property exchange with Washington County Public Schools, Board of Education. Move to approve the conveyance and acceptance of property located at 50 West Oak Ridge Drive and 1307 South Potomac Street in Hagerstown, Maryland, and approve an ordinance approving said conveyance and acceptance to authorize the execution of the necessary documentation to finalize the acquisition and conveyance. Washington County Public Schools is in the final design and review process of a new diesel repair facility for the Washington County Technical High School. The design and review process has indicated the new building would be on county property. Staff for the county and Washington County Public Schools worked together and developed a property exchange that would allow the diesel repair facility to be built at the desired location. The area being conveyed to the Washington County Public Schools is currently not being utilized as part of Dobbs Woods Park and has been maintained by the Washington County Public Schools. The area being conveyed to the county has been utilized as part of Dobbs Woods Park and maintained by the county. Any questions?
No, so it's basically it's going to be VOTEC for diesel repair, basically.
That's correct.
Yes, yeah, they need the property for setbacks, and honestly, it's lands that they've maintained.
Right.
Originally, the county acquired the property from the schools, and so now we're giving a portion
Yeah,
of that
I
back.
think, Dr. Clobber did the truck driving school, and Dr. Michaels is doing a diesel, sort of goes hand in hand, diesel technician school. A lot of people don't know I was a diesel technician for years, so I sort of like that idea. So, yeah, I'd be fine with it.
Good. I'm sure they'll have you as a special guest speaker.
Is that a motion to approve the conveyance, Commissioner Wagner? Is
Yeah, I motion to approve.
there a second?
I'll second. I just have a question. The portion that we are giving, or we are receiving from the Board of Ed, we're sure the Board of Ed wouldn't have a future use for that as well, extend parking, or I know it's part of Dobbswood, our park, but
Yes, I mean, what you see there is more or less
do we need
what's
to
been
swap?
used.
Can we not just give them what they need?
That's certainly an option to the commissioners. I believe at the same time we were trying to clean up the property.
Yeah, so the area that's in white there, we actually do use that presently as part of our county operations. So more or less, we drew the lines with where we both have interest and needs. But even with that being said, it's not to say that we still don't work together. I know the cross-country trail that they run for meets out there also crosses through property lines. So it's been I would say, a blurry boundary, and we would look to work with the schools moving forward on stormwater and other mutual beneficial needs. Jeff?
I think, Andrew, thank you. Commissioners, Jeff Prue, Chief Operating Officer, Washington County Schools. I think to your question, Commissioner, when you actually get into the land in that corner of the parking lot below Tech High, there's a significant drop-off. I actually walked it about a month or so ago, and we come through the woods there in that lower corner away from the building. It's probably a good 12-foot drop. So I think, to consider it for additional parking or other measures of that nature, I'm not sure it would be needed. We actually have significant parking still available between the combined parking lots between the Technical High School and Antietam Academy. I think it is land that's really being used as part of the park at this time. So I think it makes sense to give it back to the county and let it be used as such. There's other lands on that property we talked about, I think, that we're mutually maintaining, but at this point, I think we decided to go with this and move forward at a later time. But both of our departments, our planning departments, facility departments work very well together.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is deliberation consensus decision on application for zoning map amendment RZ-21-003, the Black Rock PUD major change. Jill Baker, please come forward and introduce yourself. Welcome back.
Hello again, Commissioners. Jill Baker, Director of the Department of Planning and Zoning. Being brought back to you today for consideration and deliberation is the Black Rock Planned Unit Development Major Change Request. As you may recall, this is a request to increase the number of units and the density of an existing approved planned unit development along Mount Etna Road. The current situation for approval was 595 units. The applicant is asking to increase that to 1,148 units. Planning Commission held a public input meeting on this and provided a recommendation to you, unanimously recommending denial based upon the roads and school capacity issues, as well as fire protection, water services out in that area. The Board of County Commissioners held a public hearing several weeks ago out at the college, again, to collect public input and interest on this specific topic. You heard many of the same comments that were heard during the Planning Commission meeting regarding concerns over school capacities in that vicinity, road and traffic issues, as well as water service issues, water pressure issues out in that vicinity. We have nothing further to add. Again, this would just be for your deliberation and potential consensus. We're not asking for a formal vote today. That would come back later under findings of fact with County Attorney's Office. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but that's all I have.
Commissioners, thoughts, comments?
I was under the impression that it was going to be a vote today. That's not the case?
We are asking for a consensus of thumbs up or thumbs down, and then we would come back for a formal vote. We would have to give the County Attorney's Office time to draft the findings of fact for you to actually formally vote on.
Yeah, Commissioners, this is it's like a rezoning. It is a request for a major change to an already approved PUD, Planned Unit Development District. And the zoning ordinance requires that the Commissioners establish findings of fact when they consider a major change. The findings of fact need to include the purpose of the PUD district, the applicable policies of the adopted comprehensive plan, the compatibility of the proposed changes of the PUD district with neighboring properties, the effect of the proposed changes to the PUD district on community infrastructure, and consistency with the intent and purpose for the establishment of the PUD, which is to permit flexibility and creativity in the design of residential areas, promote economical and efficient use of the land, provide for a harmonious variety of housing choices, a varied level of community amenities, and the promotion of adequate recreation, open space, and scenic attractiveness. So those factors are what the ordinance directs the Commissioners to consider as they make their decision.
I get it. This sort of is where I get frustrated all the time. We've had the facts for 2 months, 3 months. We've had the presentations by everybody involved. We've had 400 emails. And I understand if that's the way we got to do it, we got to do it. But, we always seem to be prolonging the agony for everybody through bureaucracy. You can tell I'm frustrated about it, but that's the way it's got to be. Is anybody else, is it just me or?
Well, I mean, this is a legal proceeding. It's subject to review at the circuit court. The body has to give my office direction so they can prepare the legal document that would actually be reviewed if it went up on appeal.
I think Randy's saying from the time of the public hearing to today's been lengthy. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been through it with planning. I've been through it with public hearings, 2 public hearings. And I understand, Kirk, I'm not throwing stones here. I'm just saying that's where the level of frustrations get with citizens and us. Yeah, that's my opinion anyway.
So today, we're giving consensus whether or not to agree or whether or not to go for it.
Yes,
right?
and giving direction to
Okay.
my office so that we can prepare the proposed findings that you will then come back, review,
So in a
and
way,
formally adopt.
Randy, we are kind of voting today,
Yeah.
and then they're going to
I
bring
get
it
it.
back.
All right,
for like
commissioners, is there a consensus? Somebody, what do you want to do?
I mean, I'll be the bad guy in the room. I mean, I make my living in real estate, but this is a little bit, to me, it's sort of over the top. You're still gonna get 595 homes. I mean, I look at it like the density. I mean, you have a Funkstown, a Boonesboro, Sharpsburg, and Williamsport is not as big as what this is gonna be, you know, with population and households. So, I mean, I personally, you know, I've given a lot of soul searching. I can see both sides, but I personally cannot give a consensus to do that to that neighborhood out there. I think it's just over the top. I think 595 is
Commissioner
plenty.
Baker, you have, sorry, Randy.
No, that's a deny.
It is.
Okay, and I'm with Randy. I'm going to deny.
Okay. Charlie, Commissioner Burkett?
I would deny it. I agree with Randy, and I think there has been such a public outcry, and I think we need to listen to the people's voices. And so,
Mr. Kiefer?
I'd be in denial.
I would say that I would also be in agreement that we deny this request. I took copious notes at our public hearing. I actually had 2 more speakers than what the number that the Herald Mail reported as to the number of speakers that spoke. And they were pretty adamant and pretty clear in their arguments. And let me add the arguments that I think are most important, because I think Kirk will probably need that for his next step. Water access in that area, water supply is very low. Just a couple years ago, we had the large fire. I think it was across from HCC, but that fire was impacted by a lack of water supply. A lot of these homes that are constructed out there, as I hear from firefighters, they have large open spaces on the inside. These, I think many people refer to them as McMansions, but they have the large open spaces on the inside. And that takes a lot of water to put out, and that's actually maybe not the best design to have. I realize that's the existing homes, not necessarily what's being proposed, but it just exacerbates the water requirement that we have. There were also many good arguments made about roadways, access. I think one concept had just an exit only, or an emergency exit only, but the main road that goes through there, through Mount Etna, many people would likely be traveling towards Frederick County for work. I don't know what the number is, but that road is narrow and precarious at times. I've passed farm equipment on that road as well, so I worry that the existing infrastructure that's maybe miles away, not necessarily in that area, wouldn't support that kind of jump in population.
Okay. I also consensus to deny 5-0. Mr. Downey, you have your instructions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Sheriff Mullendorf, proposed salary scales for his office. Please come forward, introduce yourself in the matter. Jill, thank you for cleaning there. I appreciate you. Sheriff, welcome. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sheriff Mullendorf, Washington County. So have been here twice. We've been trying to work together to come up with a viable option for salaries for the employees for retention and hiring purposes. Here before you today to present a salary proposal that you have before you. I'm also aware that the FOP has submitted a salary proposal to you, but I have a number of concerns that I've already expressed to you with that. You know, first and foremost, I think it does nothing for those at the bottom, which is the big issue with hiring and retention. And then also, it gives huge increases to those who are at the top, which obviously are the tenured employees. The other thing that I really object to is that an employee who has been with the Sheriff's Office and has excelled and been promoted early on in their career, let's say they've been in as a sergeant or a lieutenant for 8-9 years, a newly promoted person who was hired at the exact same time would go to that exact same salary. I think that's wrong. It's not fair and it's not equitable to do that. The biggest complaint that I hear now when we do a promotion is, that somebody's making more money than somebody that was previously promoted. And this would just exacerbate that. So the salary proposal that I'm presenting today has a starting salary of $52,000 for sworn deputies and $46,000 for correctional deputies. A deputy would automatically be promoted to deputy first class after 3 years of service, unless they were a lateral, which means they have previous experience at another police department. And then they would go to a deputy first class after 1 year. That would result in a 10% increase in salary. After 18 months in the rank of deputy first class, that individual would be able to test for the rank of master deputy. In addition, after hearing from personnel within the agency, we have also added in that after they have been a deputy first class for 15 years of service, or they have 15 years of service with the agency, they would automatically be promoted to deputy first class.
Say that again, Sheriff, I'm sorry.
Sir, any deputy who has 15 years of service with the sheriff's office would then automatically be promoted to deputy first class. And that would result in a 10% increase in salary as well. And then after 18 months as a master deputy, they would be eligible to test for the rank of corporal. Most deputies would receive an additional increase in salary between $6,500 to over $10,000. And then if they're subsequently promoted to a master deputy, there would be another increase in salary of between $5,700 and over $9,000, depending on how long they have been in that position. The deputies promoted to master deputy would receive an overall increase of between $12,500 and $18,000. As I stated earlier, a master deputy would be eligible to be promoted to corporal after 18 months. If they're promoted to a corporal, they would receive a 6% increase in salary, and they would remain in the corporal rank for 1 year, and then automatically, as we do now, they would be promoted to a sergeant and receive an additional 5% increase in salary, which is a total of 11% in 1 year. All other promotions after that would require that individual to be in the rank for 1 year and then be eligible to test for the next highest rank. Every rank after that would be a 7.5% increase. All promotions would move up 1 grade and back 1 step, which would be either the 10% or the 7.5% that I mentioned previously. I also want to mention that I had sent this proposal to all of our deputies, both correctional and sworn. We received information on those who thought there were disparities, and actually most of them, quite honestly, were mistakes on my part because I forgot to increase somebody's salary that had supposed to have been increased. And so we corrected about 99% of those. There are always going to be, that 1% that there's going to be a disagreement about as to where they get placed on the salary scale. And so we have not been able to correct those. And again, the automatic promotion after 15 years of service to a master deputy came from suggestions from our personnel. Almost, other than 3 people, all of the people that I heard from were in support of what we were doing and thankful for the fact that we were coming before the commissioners to get them a raise. Also wanted to, if you look at your ARF, you will also see that the proposed salary with master deputy increase for central booking is about 21.8%. Detention is 20.8. Day reporting center is 32.9. Judicial is 19.8, and patrol is 17 for an average salary. And so I'm therefore asking the county commissioners to approve the proposed salary scale to take effect no later than 4 weeks from this date, which would give Budget and Finance time to implement that in Oracle. And then I understand the commissioners want to do
we want this to be retroactive to the first pay period in July. It's not
That's
actually
correct.
July 1, but it's that first pay period.
Exactly. But in talking to Budget and Finance, that's going to take a little time because they have to go back and hand do that.
Okay.
So my suggestion and Sarah's suggestion also was to give a little bit of time for Budget and Finance to do that and to give a back salary check to them for that amount from July until it's actually implemented.
If I remember right, all commissioners were in consensus in favor of that.
Yeah, that would have been, I had one curious question,
Sure.
just curious. Because I'm trying to wrap my head around all of it. It's the 15 years to deputy first class. Is there a reason for 15 and not 10 or 12 or?
Master deputy.
We looked at, because they have to be in a deputy's position for 3, and then as a master deputy, actually for 12 in order to go up to automatically to a master deputy, DFC to master deputy.
And who will be doing the promotions and the interviewing? And would that be directly you and?
That would be, the way it's done actually is the command staff for that particular division does the testing, and then everything is approved through me. If it's corporal and above, then there are actually 2 sets. There's a written examination, and then there's a structured interview by the command staff for that division, and then there's an overall command staff interview by myself and chief deputy and the patrol commander or corrections commander.
Sheriff, one of the things, I know we're probably not going to get this 100% right, but I think I've also heard all the commissioners say that if there's mistakes or errors or disparity, I think all the commissioners are willing to come back and maybe make adjustments in the future if this is not 100% right. I think I've heard all the commissioners.
Yes, and I've told our personnel, if they still have issues with disparity, to come back to us. We will look at that and try to correct.
That's like some of the salary compression issues.
Yes.
Okay. I would sort of like to get it done today. I mean, I don't know what everybody's opinion is on that, but I'd sort of like, I'd be fine with it for now, so.
I think, can I just follow up for just a minute on something the sheriff said when you talk about budget and finance? Obviously, if you approve this plan today, we will be changing the scales. So budget and finance will have to make that adjustment moving forward. Going back to making retroactive, there are a lot of things, and the sheriff mentioned it, and we've all talked to budget and finance about that. The farther you go back, the more sort of manual things you're going to have to do, because people come and go, and people get promoted, so they're going to have to go back and look at each one of them. So I'm not opposed to that. I just wanted to say that it's going to take more time for budget and finance to do that, and as you know, we're a little shorthanded.
What I'm hearing you say is be patient.
Yes.
Allow us to do that.
Yes, it will happen. Budget and finance has assured me that it will happen, and it will happen, but going back, there's a lot more manual things that are going to have to be done to make sure they work.
For the record, our CFO has departed, so to those out there listening, please be patient. You can send us all an email and bother us or ask us, but it's coming.
And I do want to say the budget and finance has been running tests on this already, because obviously the commissioners have discussed this before and anticipated that it was coming. So they have been running tests. Some have been successful, some have not been successful. So we're still working on that. So that is the message I wanted to say, that be patient on that if that's the way the commissioners decide to go. But it will get done, and budget and finance will make it happen.
I think we're sure that we're going to make it retroactive. Is there any willingness to vote on this today with the retroactive pay? If not,
I agree with Randy. Let's move it forward and then.
Somebody make the motion to approve.
We can do that.
I'll make the motion to move forward and approve.
With the retroactive pay.
Stated.
I'll second with some additional comments.
Yes.
Thank you for taking us back to the drawing board.
Yes.
I've received several, compliments on how your proposal was redone. I know every industry out there is having a difficult time attracting employees. They're short-staffed. You go to restaurants all the time. I see signs on the door that say we're short-staffed. enforcement's a little different. You know, yes, they're short-staffed, but they're also short-staffed because, not just because of nationwide economic trend, but because the nature of the job is very difficult. Not many professions you go in where you actively are involved in danger every day, where your own personal life and safety is at risk. Many professions do have danger aspects to it, don't get me wrong, but certainly law enforcement, that's an inherent part of the job every day. And I think this is a big step for our deputies to show appreciation for the current deputies that we have, and everybody in law enforcement, detention, whatever role you may have, that we recognize that risk. Many states, many areas across the country don't recognize that, or don't appreciate the hard work and stuff we do here in Washington County. Is it perfect? No, like Commissioner Klein said, hopefully those nuances that we find, you know, maybe something fell through the cracks that
We'll work on it.
discovered next month, we'll take care of that.
Absolutely.
I don't have my mic on. Do I have to repeat all of that?
Yeah, please. Keep it short, you don't have to remember it.
But I think this just recognizes, it's a way for us to recognize our current deputies or those in law enforcement that we appreciate what they do. It's a difficult job, difficult profession. I've been on ride-alongs. I'm not cut out for that type of work. I can, you know, say that. I'm okay saying that. It's difficult. And for those that we have yet to hire that will join our team, we recognize them for the, you know, the difficulties that they're about to make. And I think this is a good thing.
I should point out that since our last time I appeared before you on November 2nd, we've lost 2 sworn deputies and we've lost several correctional deputies as well. Again, getting out of law enforcement altogether to go into private industry based on, you know, the legislative issues and what's going on around the country.
Media scrutiny, everything.
They're afraid of, you know, getting sued for everything that they do, you know, or being prosecuted, you know, for split-second decisions that somebody else has, you know, hours and days to come back and reflect on. And that is a difficult time. It's a very stressful job right now. I don't think that, you know, the pendulum will swing at some point, but I think it's going to be, you know, a number of years before that actually happens.
Sheriff, I would like to say too that I appreciate your time. I know Jeff wants to call for a vote, but I at least wanted to say I appreciate your time and effort in this. And to those that aren't happy with it, you know, it doesn't mean that we can't work on this further within the next year, 2 years, whatever it takes.
6 months.
But it was important to do something now, and I think that's
Very good comments, thank you. Before I call for the vote, my final comments, I want to thank you, Sheriff, for your efforts. I want to thank your men and women in blue. It's important that the commissioners know that as elected officials, we support law enforcement. I couldn't be more prouder of what the votes I think is going to be, that elected officials in Washington County stand behind the men and women in blue. So with that being said, I have a first and a second with the addition that it's retroactive. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, and thank you
very much,
to those who are listening.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
I just wanted to confirm, and it is in the recommended motion that was in the Commissioners just approved, that there will need to be a budget adjustment. And I believe that's coming out of reserves. I believe our interim
Thank you for
CFO
that.
is shaking her head. That's Kelsey Mace, our interim CFO. So,
She's fine with it.
so it'll be coming out of reserves as is mentioned in the ARF, so.
Thank you very much for the student. Next up, we have on the agenda, American Rescue Plan Act for 2021 Older American Funds. Amy Olak, Bill Beard, Ed Loeb, please introduce yourself and the matter.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
everyone.
I'm Bill Beard, presently President of the Board of the Washington County Commission on Aging. I have with me today Amy Olak, who is the Chief Executive Officer, and Ed Lowe, who who is currently the Vice President, but as of January will become the President of the Board. We have an opportunity to discuss with you today, and I'll let Amy present that to you.
Thank you so much for your time. We are coming before you today to talk about the opportunity for the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for the Older Americans Act. We are asking the county commissioners to consider a local match of $122,027 for the Washington County Commission on Aging in order to obtain the American Rescue Act of 2021 funds in the amount of $575,719. On March 11th, the American Rescue Act of 2021 was signed into law. Section 2921 of the law appropriated $1.434 billion to remain available until expended to carry out only the Older Americans Act of 1965. Area agencies on aging are eligible to receive funding under Titles 3, Parts B, C1, C2, D, and E if the local match requirements are met. Federal funds are not an allowable match. The $122,027 is the required match for the Washington County Commission on Aging to receive $575,719. The Commission on Aging is the designated area on aging for Washington County. We are serving the fastest growing segment of the county's population, which are seniors. The Washington County Commission on Aging also serves those with disabilities regardless of age and caregivers. The Commission on Aging provides over 50 programs and services. Currently, there are over 300 seniors on a waiting list for at least one or more of those programs and services that we provide. This funding would expand or enhance the allowable programs and services to older adults through the Older Americans Act. Those programs include, but are not limited to, home-delivered meals, also known as our Meals on Wheels program, congregate sites, there are 7 throughout the county, social isolation, chore, homemaker, and personal care services, caregiver services, health promotion and education, and respite care. The funds are being awarded as of April 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2024. The State Department of Aging will require that we track and report all of our expenditures to the state. So we are coming before you to request the match requirement of $122,027 so that we can continue to provide services to those on our waiting list and expand the services to seniors here in Washington County.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Comments, thoughts, motion to approve.
We give you $1, you get $5 in return for that. That's a pretty good deal to me.
About where the money's coming from.
John, do you have something?
Before you make a motion, I did ask Kelsey to take a look and see, to identify the source of funding that could be used here, so. Okay, I think that pension money's already been paid for this year, so we do have some money in there, so that will, so if you're gonna make a motion, that's where the money would come from.
Well, somebody make a motion, we get that out of the way right now and support you.
I would make a motion to approve the matching grant of $122,027 to the Commission on Aging, and for those funds to come from the pension savings as staff suggested.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, first, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, way to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Before you leave, real quick, I would just like to thank Mr. Beard for his service. Are you staying on?
I'm staying on the board.
You're staying on the board.
Now
but
that
you're
I'm a senior, I think I'll stay on the board.
stepping down as president, he's represented the Commission on Aging very well. And thank you for your service to seniors in Washington County. You've been a great advocate. I've been honored to serve along with you, and I know your replacement, Mr. Lowe, will do a fine job as well.
He's a senior too. Whoops.
I'm not supposed to say that.
Thank you all very much. That concludes our open session, a meeting to go in, a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you for your support of seniors.
Thank you.
Motion to go into closed session.
I'm still trying to become a senior, Ed.
Is there a second to go into closed
I'm
session?
still working on being a senior.
Commissioners, I got a second from Wayne. All in favor to go into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Thank you very much.